Hi everyone, my name is David Kelly. I'm the Program Director for the eLearning Guild, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to another Twist Conversation. This afternoon I'm pleased to be joined by Mark Lassoff, and the two of us are going to be discussing programming and the importance of coding as a skill for eLearning developers. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, David.
Before we get started, can you take a moment and introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. I'm Mark Lassoff. I've been a member of the eLearning Guild for about 5 or 6 years and involved in kind of the technical end of some of the programming that's been produced as far as coding and things like that. I own a company called Learn to Program Media, and we produce online courses that teach people to develop web, mobile, and game applications.
Excellent. And I know you're going to be joining us at DevLearn this October doing a workshop, Programming 101 for the eLearning developer. And this idea of programming and coding skills as being something that's important for eLearning developers is a growing conversation, but there's not a lot of discussion around the why, just that it's important. Can you give me an idea from your own personal standpoint? Why do you see programming and coding skills as being so important for eLearning development?
Well, I think first off, coding skills are part of an important digital literacy that anyone working in electronic media, whether it be educational electronic media or entertainment electronic media, really need to have. They've got to understand better the context within which they're developing learning applications, and understanding coding helps them do just that. On kind of a more intimate level, I look at the development of e-learning as parallel to the development of the software and web development industry. And for years, we developed websites using tools like Dreamweaver, and that was fine. But what happened was the web development industry really bumped its head against a ceiling of limitations placed by the very tools that we were using. And the way to get around that ceiling of limitations was to learn code and take absolute control of the content we were developing. So the area that's most apparent in e-learning is simulation. We need to develop simulation to give our learners the best experience in a lot of different areas, especially when the consequences of a mistake are too high or too expensive to learn in a real life situation. If you think of things like avionics on airplanes, or pharmaceuticals, or laboratories that handle dangerous chemicals. All of those require simulation, and to create good simulation, you really need to go beyond the tools, and you have to be able to code to develop exactly what you envision as kind of a good training tool.
Now, most of the e-learning developers who are coming into the environment of working within e-learning are doing so using a rapid development tool, which removes the coding from the equation and enables them to generate content and courses and such without needing programming. So you mentioned simulations as an example. Can you give me some additional examples of where that line is drawn between what you could do with the rapid development tool and what's off the table unless you start going down this road of being able to code and program things on your own?
Sure. You know, I've been saying, I think, since I've been involved in e-learning that maybe our goal shouldn't be rapid development, that maybe our goal should be something good instead of something quick. And understanding the limitations of people's budgets and team size and things like that, I understand there's a reality there that oftentimes, rapid development tool does provide the quickest path from A to B. But rarely have we looked at as an industry what has been the cost of relying so heavily on rapid development tools. And, again, beyond simulation, if there is a type of, for example, assessment interaction that someone wants to do that's not part of the canned list of 20 or 25 interactions that come with the software, it's very difficult to do. So anything that's kind of out of that box of what the software can do becomes difficult. I think like, for example, in biology, it's easy to learn kind of the anatomy of one frog, but every frog is a slightly different anatomy, and that's something that e-learning rapid development tools don't do well, is account for the variances within the environments within which we're learning. But that's something we can code. If the situation is the same every time, I think e-learning tools probably could do the job. But kind of like when I took karate as a kid, you had to attack the instructor correctly in order to get the right result. I think we're making our learners have to attack the learning correctly, to use kind of a silly metaphor. We're kind of making a process very linear, where we know that the best learning isn't linear.
So, and I completely agree. I think one of the barriers that people have within our field as it relates to to programming and coding is that it's this concept that is so big, and I'm not a programmer. I develop using these tools. I can't code. I can't do this. Like it's this enormous concept, and there are really some basic coding things that you could learn just from a structural standpoint that can be very beneficial for you. Can you give me an idea of some of the standard, regardless of the language you're using, some standard coding concepts that that can resonate with people, that you can really get an idea of these are the type of things you'll be talking about, where it's not just this where you're learning a completely different language that is just so robust and you're not going to be able to do that. You can just concentrate on these particular concepts and get some mileage out of that.
Yeah, I want to kind of address both things you said. First off, being a programmer isn't like being tall. You have a choice in the matter, and anyone who's not a programmer can become one with some level of success. Not everybody is going to, become, the next guy who starts whatever the next Facebook is. But, it's a skill that can be picked up to some level, and just like, everyone to some level can learn to sing or learn to play an instrument. You may not be you may not be ready for Carnegie Hall. There's a basic level of literacy that's going to help you in your career. And some of the things and some of the tasks that you can do is, for example, gamification. Simple gamification and just adding that layer can be done with programming that can make learning a lot more fun and a lot more engaging. Data validation, garbage in, garbage out. A lot of programming is done to make sure that data coming into a system is valid, and having control over that requires some level of programming knowledge. And again, this is not a bachelor's in computer science to do these things. This is some training, just like we advocate that our learners do.
So I know you're going to be doing a workshop that's going to explore this, and if I'm coming in as an e-learning developer looking to just kind of go through this programming 101 as you've described it in the workshop description, what's my experience going to be like? What am I going to be encountering throughout the day? What can I expect to walk away with? What's my experience going to be like coming to your workshop in October?
Well, we're going to start with getting everybody's programming environment set up. The environment we're going to use is mostly online. And then we're going to go through the basic tasks of developing programs. I'm going to explain the process, how programs are developed. We're going to learn some of the code used in a language called Python, which frankly is as good as any for this particular level of learning. And we're going to look at how that applies to some specific e-learning problems. And then we're going to spend the last hour actually developing a learning application using code. These are going to be simple programs that are going to run on what's called the command line, kind of like the DOS prompt, but they're going to give everyone an idea of what programming is like and set a foundation for future learning. Really, my goal is to bring everyone to a point where going and learning another programming language, be it ActionScript or JavaScript or some other language that's important in the environment that the learner is in, isn't so intimidating. So they can go and do that and feel comfortable and good about making that move right after the seminar.
Excellent, and it ties very well to what you said earlier about going into program that anyone can do it. You just have to go out and play and go in that space. And it sounds like your workshop is going to set the stage for people to go do that after they leave.
Right, and I mean, in the workshop, obviously, it's going to be a non-intimidating, non-threatening environment that we're going to make it comfortable for everyone to learn the basics of programming. We're actually going through this exercise at Learn to Program right now in my company. We have a fair amount of non-technical staff. All of them are taking right now the basic programming course that I'll be teaching at DevLearn. So they're taking the course and they're succeeding at it, and their backgrounds include everything from 30 years of administrative support and no programming to, artists to, one person who actually has never done anything technical before. So, I mean, anyone can learn this, and really this particular course is designed to be non-threatening and give everyone a head start and a jump into the world of programming.
That's excellent. I think the aspect that you're talking about, the intimidation factor of coding as a skill set, is such a major barrier in this conversation that that positioning it in a way that is removing that as a barrier is going to be really powerful and make the workshop very successful for people.
I hope so. I think the intimidation factor is something a lot of times people set up for themselves. Mm-hmm. because programming is reputed to be very difficult. And, I'll give that many years ago when the languages weren't as advanced, it was more difficult. But now, you can determine a lot of what's going on in a program simply by reading the English. Programming is done in English, and if you can speak English, you're going to do fine. I've never had anyone not be able to complete kind of the exercises that we do during this session, and this session is specially redesigned with e-learning developers in mind, so it can appeal to them and kind of the tasks that they have in their daily work.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like it's going to be an exceptional experience for people who are coming to the conference. If you want to learn more about the workshop that Mark has been describing, or about any of the workshops that are going to be taking place, visit our website, devlearn14.com. The DevLearn Conference and Expo takes place October 29th through 31st in Las Vegas, Nevada, and Mark's workshop is going to be taking place on the 28th. We have workshops taking place the 28th and the 27th. If you're interested in learning more about those or any of the programs that are going on at DevLearn, please do visit our website, devlearn14.com. Mark, I want to thank you again for taking the time to chat with me this afternoon.
Thanks, David. I enjoyed it.
All right. I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Twist Conversations. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.